We had amazing data that nobody else had, right? We were indexing the social media habits of 150,000 brands on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Pinterest, LinkedIn, and Instagram. And that is a treasure trove of data. One of the big investments we did was
if you have to crawl this public site, those sites will block you, right? So do you have to get developer API access or something like that to get the data from Twitter or Facebook? Or how does that work?
Very, very painful question. And the reason it's painful is because we had developer access, we could get that. And since we are pulling public knowledge, we're not pulling data on what Suresh Sambandam was posting on Facebook, but we are pulling data on what Kissflow, a company whose page is public on Facebook, was posting. And therefore, there was a distinction between the two. And our universe is not huge if you think about it. 150,000 brands, while large, is not as big as a few billions of people. So that is the distinction which allowed us to crawl these and specific handles and pull in brand-specific data. But the reason I said it's a painful question is after Cambridge Analytica happened, suddenly all analytics companies were seen with the same lens. And irrespective of whether you're doing something totally legit like us, or you were doing something not so legit like Cambridge Analytica, if you had the word analytics, it was a 4-letter word. And every 6 months, I had to appear in front of Facebook and all of that and recertify that we are not doing anything weird and stuff. And they would cut off a lot of data access simply because they said, let's not bother, let's cut it off for everybody. It doesn't matter if you're a brand or individual. So that was the thing on that. But we continued to get a fair amount of data. In the early days, it was easier. Later, it became tougher. That's kind of what I'm getting at. And we used to use that for a fair amount of data-driven narrative. We are huge fans of that, data-driven narrative. So around Thanksgiving, when everybody starts traveling, we would run a report on the customer service reply times on Twitter of all the major airlines, because they were processing about 20,000 tweets plus a day in terms of replies. And who replies fastest? Is it United? Is it American? A full data-driven story around that our PR agency would place in various media, vertical media for the airline industry, horizontal media around brands and agencies. And then we would create a beautiful infographic made by this guy from Spain that we'd identified. So one of the early philosophies of the company was work from anywhere. From 2012, we had a work from anywhere policy. And that time we also used to embrace a whole bunch of freelancers. So our infographic designer was in Spain. And you create a beautiful infographic that is like a piece of art around social media habits of airlines. And we'd put that out. And people would re-amplify it and post it. And then we do something saying, here's what's happening on social with all the brands that are sponsoring the Olympics. One of those brands is Coca-Cola. Someone at Coca-Cola saw that, shared it internally. Next thing we knew, we had a lead in from Coca-Cola who continues to be a client of Unmetric even till the day of the acquisition.